Well, we know it looks bad. We know it doesn't look good. We know we see what we see, but we're really not seeing what we see.
No, not judgment, but details. Because that's something I've heard from some voters, maybe not at your events, but details.
No, but the details are irrelevant in terms of decision-making.
Democrat logic. You see the crime actually happen before you. You have the proof that it happened, but it didn't really happen. The other guy, who didn't do anything, he did it. So as the impeachment continues to spiral beyond Nancy Botox Pelosi's control, and now they've got to go all in and try to drag simpleton, rhino, wannabe Democrats dressed in Republican drag into it so that they can somehow give some credibility to their own illegal activity and the fact that they've got a whistleblower that is probably virtually guilty of committing treason. That's not the spin we're going to get in the mainstream lying legacy corporate corrupt media. And you know how the mainstream lying corporate corrupt mainstream media is spinning all of that? Well, it's your fault.
But President Trump has something that Nixon did not have. He has Fox News. He is an army of trolls. He has websites that will defend anything he says or does. And that could very well come into play. They are already coming to his defense.
The funny thing is, back in 2014, when Barack Obama was still occupying the White House, his press secretary was asked by the press corps at that time, hey, what about Hunter Biden working for this gas and oil company in Ukraine? Does he have any experience at this? Why do they want him? What does this mean for the administration?
Is there any concern about at least the appearance of a conflict there? See the vice president.
I would refer you to the vice president's office. I saw those reports. Hunter Biden and other members of the Biden family are obviously private citizens, and where they work is not does not reflect an endorsement by the administration.
Notice how awkward it was for him to answer, to kind of stumble through that. Well, he's a private citizen. Yeah, and we're told every time Donald Jr. or Eric Trump or Ivanka Trump make any type of money with any of their corporate entities that they run, well, obviously, this puts our nation in absolute national security breaching and problems, and we can't have this. In fact, Barney Frank the other night said on Real Time that why the Trump kids have never made this much money. Has anybody got any idea of how much money Donald Trump has lost being the president? I mean, all of the constant spinning and 24-hour news cycles ad nauseum where they're trying to continually convince us that someone worse than Adolf Hitler occupies the White House. How many businesses have stopped doing business with the Trump brand because they don't want the backlash. They don't want to be boycotted. They don't want to be hassled and harangued by Nancy Botox Pelosi, Mad Maxine Waters, and the crazos that do their bidding. Nobody talks about that. Instead, we have a vice president's son who worked for a corrupt corporation in a corrupt country. He was under investigation by some reformers who are trying to turn that country around. And the vice president steps in using his weight and authority as the vice president to protect his son, denies that country $1 billion in aid that they were promised unless they fire the prosecutor going after his son.
It's just so, why can't politicians tell their kids, get a job?
It's too swampy.
Get a
too
job.
swampy.
I mean, this kid was paid $600,000 because his name is Biden by a gas company in Ukraine, this super corrupt country that just had a revolution to get rid of corruption. It just looks bad.
It's irrelevant.
It does sound like something Don Jr. would do. And if Don Jr. did it, it would be all Rachel Maddow was talking about.
I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko. They would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a got fired.
But we're told that's not what we're seeing. That's not what happened. Why Trump is making this all up. And what we have to do is realize the real guilty one here is Donald Trump. After all, just look at these transcripts. Look, he arm twisted the president of Ukraine to do him a favor against a political opponent. To which the Ukrainian president said, no, he didn't. Didn't feel any pressure from President Trump, none whatsoever. So then what do they do over the weekend? They tout out the investigator who they handpicked after they muscled Ukraine to fire the investigator who was looking into Hunter Biden. After they forced him out, they bring in a corrupt investigator, pay him a lot of money, and Shazam, Batman, he's willing to go on the Sunday shows this weekend and say, no, Hunter Biden didn't do anything. He didn't do a thing. And we're not seeing what we're seeing. Do you understand that right now the Democratic Party is preying on you being stupid? That they can spoon feed you. But remember, Trump has all of us minions out there doing his bidding, and that's why he's protected. Because of Fox News. Yeah. And there's only 3 programs on Fox News that give Trump any type of friendly or decent coverage. That would be the one and only Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham. The rest of that ilk over there, never Trumpers. Then, of course, you got what we do here on YouTube and others like me, conservative media. And yet, you go in every airport, you can't help but get away from CNN, Airport Terminal TV. Every headline of every major newspaper is continually anti-Trump, 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 anti-Trump. The deck is stacked in their favor. And they know, here's the thing, they know this impeachment isn't going to get anywhere, that it's fraudulent, and they're already writing the narrative of why it failed, because of us. How about it failed because it's a lie? The so-called mainstream media that are these bastions of the First Amendment and free speech and giving us information, yet they're the ones constantly spinning and telling us what we're seeing with the evidence with Hunter Biden. No, there's no there. We know he was paid $50,000 a month. We know that his father blackmailed and muscled the country with $1 billion aid package that he refused to give them unless they fired the investigator looking at his son. But there's no there. Even though you saw it yourself on videotape, there's no there. Aren't you sick and tired of being lied to by the media and Democrats every day? That's it for this rant. Hey, make sure you give us a big thumbs up and a like. Share this to your social media platforms. Help get the exposure of this channel and what we cover out among the masses. And please, if you're a subscriber, thank you. Make sure, though, from time to time you check your subscription because, YouTube tends to pull those. In particular, if you are subscribing to conservative sites, well, if you aren't clicking on that thing with the way the YouTube analytics work, if you aren't clicking on my channel like every hour, they could just pull your subscription. Oh, obviously not really active on that channel anymore. So make sure you check to make sure you're still a subscriber and smack the bell for my next rant.